What's up, guys? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. We are back at the barn. It's been a minute since we filmed anything new for the last couple of videos. I've been slammed between day job work plus coding stuff. We've been very busy and I have not had time to mess around with this, which is ready to start going back together. I just need to go pick up parts. This, which still stuck on the taillights. I know I apologize for being repetitive in the videos, but I can't decide what I want to do, which makes it hard to try and pass that on to the customer. I could call them in and have them come by and look and ask, but I'm really torn on that cat eye. I don't think I'm gonna do something super tall on here. I know the comment section suggested doing something taller. Kind of really like something like this, but if I do something like this, then I'm going to ditch all the spacers I tried making last time for the plate mount. If this plate mount gets welded onto the sissy bar, I do need the standoffs that I was making. If this gets moved, I'll use thinner material because this is really thick. But if I do move the plate mount down low, kind of like that, then I don't need the spacers. One. Two, if the plate goes low off the axle, the taillight will go here, whether it's the cat eye or the little guy. I think that looks pretty all right too. I like the idea of keeping the taillight low if the plate goes to the side. If we're doing something up top, then I want the plate up here as well. I know you can also buy the little LED thread-in license plate lights. The LED thing kind of changed the game with that. So if I do want to light up the plate, I can just use the actual mounting bolts for the license plate to make that work. But I'm still torn. I don't know where I'm at with that. Still got to figure out the brake master cylinder scenario on this. Instead of putting it back here on the frame, I do want to tuck it into this pocket of empty space and get rid of this gigantic rod. So that's kind of where we're at on the bike stuff. The shovelhead needs primary bits that I just need to go pick up. The ironhead needs some decision making, and I keep kicking myself back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The lathe has been working. We got bungs going. I also have some steel bungs on the way. I'm just running out of time with how busy we've gotten at the coating shop. Didn't make it up to Mama Tried because we were working on a bunch of rush-ish jobs. Not like super rush, but things that were supposed to get done earlier, and then some like trailer fenders and stuff, but they were all broken. So there was a decent amount of welding on those. I farmed that out. There were aluminum fenders. I farmed that out to a buddy of mine. He helped me on the welding. I just did some rush job coating stuff for him and his race shop that he works for. But we've been moving some stuff. So I moved the cherry picker from this corner over to there. I'm gonna try and clear out this middle section because this diesel compressor works fantastic. The new hoses substantially improved the quality of blasting, or the consistency of air, rather. It's not way noticeably better, but noticeably more consistent, which saves time, if you ask me. But this has 600 and, well, now we're probably up to 679 hours on the gauge, which puts me at, I bought this, it was right at 600, so it's crazy, but 80 hours of runtime since I've owned this. We did all of the fluids on the front motor side, all the fluids, all the filters, all of the other stuff. I haven't really messed with the screw side. I topped it off with oil, which is extremely expensive, but we've had that oil leak. I want to fix that. So now I've been trying to research and figure out how all of this stuff works. There is not a lot of information on any of these. I don't know what size that screw is on the air end. I don't know what size this tank is. There's some valving up here, and there's some valving at the bottom. There's all sorts of different weird little bits. I ran the serial number on this through, it's an Atlas Copco compressor. I ran the serial number. All of the parts, I found one PDF of a parts diagram for this compressor. Everything visually looks proper. There is nothing on there that cross-references. So the filter element for the oil separator that goes into this tank, on a diesel compressor, you have your drive. This is your oil tank for the screw, but as it runs, air blows through, torpedoes, tornadoes around. In here, oil sticks to the sides, drops back down, air goes out. I don't have oil blow-by issues with this. It's pretty clean, pretty dry air, so I don't have to worry about that part as much, but I do want to do the 1,000-hour service, which is a new filter and gaskets for this, but I'm having a hard time. I found the PDF for this that matched up to the snout end. It almost looks like a shovelhead 4-speed trans, like the pig snout nose on the screw itself. I found the parts, I found the part numbers. They no longer exist. They have updated versions, but I don't have anything to directly translate old part numbers to what is currently available or their updated system, if you will. So this is in here now. I got it kind of wedged semi-sideways across here just so I could have room to open the doors and get to everything. I want to do a full oil change on the screw end. So we might have one plate. I haven't even looked underneath there, but oh no, that's accessible. So there's a drain port down there. We're gonna drain all the oil out of this, and then unfortunately, I need to take all of this apart to figure out what parts I actually need to order. The other issue, there's a million places that say they sell OEM-ish filters and things. If I go through Atlas Copco for whatever I need for this, I'm looking at oil, filter, and the gaskets or O-rings that go up here, and the O-ring kit and the one gasket I think I need on the bottom per my research. I'm looking at about somewhere between $800 and $1,200 for oil, an oil separator, and some gaskets or O-rings. I can't do that. So I have to figure out a way to make this a little bit more affordable. I found the oil separator elements in the 150 to 300 range. Still expensive, but they're supposedly good for 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 hours. The more I spend, the longer they're supposed to hold up. So I need the oil separator, number one. I need whatever, either the O-ring or the gaskets. And if I'm looking up really closely on this, it does look like there is a gasket in between here, 2 of them. I think oil separator goes in between, and then you have 2 little squish gaskets on each side. I think that's how this works. Not enough information. I was blown away, genuinely. And I figured the whole world was available to you on the internet. Apparently it's not. So there's still some understanding, know-how, all these other bits that are still part of that, but the oil leak is way down here, right behind this valve. That's the oil leak we need to fix, but if I need to pop anything apart on that, there's a little pop-up valve in there. Looking at the parts diagram, it kind of makes sense to me. It's got like a little air hose that runs down. It's the oil check stop valve, maybe. If anybody knows diesel compressors better than I do, please let me know before I start spending a bunch of money on very expensive parts and try and make all of this work. Motor-wise, rock solid. That John Deere 405T has been perfect. It cycles up, it revs up, that's the other issue. It doesn't rev down. I was gonna say it revs up, it revs down. It does, but not really. Motor-wise, starter-wise, I'm good with everything else, but this needs a little bit of love, and I'm trying, hopefully by spring, to get a equipment trailer and start building out my mobile blasting rig as well. So, I wish I was doing something fun. I wish I was doing something exciting, working on this, working on that even, working on anything really. But this is in for a little bit. I'm gonna be doing service on this. I will try to bring you guys along only because if you're not into diesel compressor sandblasting things, that's totally fine. I don't blame you. Wait till the next series of videos comes out when I get back to working on bikes. But the fact that I can't find the information or find videos on half of this stuff, I gotta make a video of it. And it will be a struggle, and I have no clue what I'm getting into, but if it helps anybody else, cool, I'll be that fool. So that'll wrap this one up. I know it's not the most exciting, but this will be coming through. So maybe we'll get it fixed, or maybe I'll catastrophically learn that I need to start paying more for service, but I can't on principle. So that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully we're diving into this and taking bolts off and parts off and things like that, and fingers crossed, it's all O-rings like my service manual from the mid-90s says it should be. Catch you on the next one.